Good afternoon. It's shortly after 1 o'clock. It's March 4th. We're here for a joint committee meeting of the Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee and the Health and Human Services Committee. We're here to review the County Executive's recommended funding for the Western County Recreation Center in the FY 25 to 30 CIP. Normally recreation is in the Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee, but there are a number of services as viewed and discussed for this particular facility, and we have the former director of the Recreation Department here, as well as my joint committee chair, and so we're taking this up as a joint committee for the purposes of this particular discussion. I'm happy to turn it over to my co-chair, and then we'll turn it over to council staff and to the executive branch to discuss the issues. With that, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you. In 1 minute or less, because I want to jump into it. I'm glad this is a joint session, but full disclosure, I would have been in this session if this had been here on a joint session or not, because this is something we've been talking about a long time. I know I join all of my colleagues in really acknowledging the community leadership that brought us here, the vision that brought us here, which is truly extraordinary. We know that if this facility really meets the opportunity before us, it checks just about every box. And we also know that community recreation centers aren't just a place to be able to recreate and gather and improve health and wellness, but it underscores the community gathering component. That's why they're called community recreation centers and not just recreation centers. So we look forward to the ongoing discussion, and I will yield back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Appreciate you noting that. I'll acknowledge a couple things. One, we have many representatives from the town of Poolesville and the Fair Access Committee, which are pleased that you're here. Appreciate all the leadership that the current district council member has provided to get this to where it is today. I'll note that when I represented this community in the last term, these issues really came to fruition of this need, not just of a new high school, but of the community facilities, and appreciate Department of Health and Human Services for the work that they have undertaken on looking at rural health issues and really taking seriously the challenges of the upper western Montgomery County and really upper Montgomery County more broadly with the health outcomes. We have real serious health outcomes that we have seen, and hopefully this facility is part of a coordinated effort among different departments and agencies, recreation, health and human services, and beyond, to be able to begin addressing some of those acute challenges. So with that, why don't we turn it to council staff, and Ms. Yao, you can turn it over as appropriate and needed to get through the packet to the executive branch.
Terrific. Good afternoon. The executive is recommending a new project, the Western County Recreation Center, in the fiscal year 25 to 30 CIP. The PDF for the project is included in the packet at circles 1 to 2. So for the 6-year period, the total of the project recommended is $15.5 million, and that's also the same for the 6-year period. Expenditures don't begin until fiscal year 28, though, and then continue through 29 and 30. The project provides for the design and construction of a community facility to serve the town of Poolesville and surrounding communities. The facility will accommodate a recreation center with a multi-purpose room, social hall, and gymnasium, as well as a medical suite to support the community health initiatives that will operate there. The program of requirements for the facility has not yet been finalized, and the program costs are based on an estimated 15,000 gross square foot facility. The project is consistent with recommendations in the Recreation Facility Development Plan 2010 through 2030. The PR is tentatively scheduled for completion in late spring, with DGS is working with the town of Poolesville to develop a list of candidate sites to explore in site selection, which is scheduled for fiscal year 25, and design is scheduled to begin in fiscal year 28 with construction from fiscal year 29 to 30. The executive has described the unmet recreational and health needs in this more remote, less populated area of the county. They have limited access to county services, recreation, medical, mental health, senior and social services, as well as rentable space for social events, and a comparable facility does not currently exist. The facility will allow local community groups and county departments to improve and expand programs to address the needs of the community. Executive staff reports that the nearest public recreation facilities are 11.5 miles away, and that's the Germantown Community Center, which has limited senior programming, and then 14.3 miles away for the Nancy Dasick North Potomac Community Recreation Center, which has full senior programming. And a list of the nearest medical, dental, mental health, and social services is attached to your packet at circles 3 to 4. The program cost appears to be based on a very rough order magnitude estimate, and since a POR and site selection have not been completed and funds for planning, design, and supervision are not broken out, it is possible that this cost estimate could change significantly depending on what is developed after the POR is developed and site selection happens. The council received testimony from several people in support of this project. Council staff's comments are that there are unmet recreational and health needs in this part of the county. That's the support the development of the center, and it is consistent with the current recreation facility development plan. Because, however, the POR has not been finalized, there has been no preliminary design work completed, and the site has not been identified, again, these estimates may have the potential to change significantly. So in the past, council has followed a process for approving capital building projects after facility planning has been completed, a POR has been finalized and available for council review, and a site has been selected. Programming of construction funds has often taken place after the initial phases of design in order to have a more accurate understanding of CIP capacity required. So having additional information, including having this additional information ahead of time would temper expectations, certainly in the case that there are challenges to moving forward, and reserving capacity for a project that isn't yet ready for inclusion may squeeze out other priority CIP projects that are ready to be programmed. So council offers a couple options to consider. One is holding off approval of the project until the POR has been finalized and request the executive return for review and inclusion of this project as amendment to the fiscal year 25 to 30 CIP, or recommending approval of the project as submitted by the executive subject to available funds at reconciliation. This option would signal the council's support for the project and recognize that other priority uses may be more appropriate for inclusion at this time, understanding that, again, the cost figures that we have for this project may be a moving target. Council members Balcom and Sales distributed a memo to the joint committee members on Friday that requested that the committee recommend maintaining the current funding as recommended by the executive in the fiscal year 25 to 30 CIP, and urges prioritization of that.
Great. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate your thoughtfulness here. I'm going to see if the district council member wants to speak first, and then we can turn it over to the executive branch, and they can explain vis-a-vis the council staff comments and questions of where you are and how we move forward and what your approach is. So with that, let me turn it over to Councilmember Balcom.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for having me join you today. I think this is so exciting to have a joint committee and to have all of you at the table today. This is really a unique program. It's going to be a great asset to the community. Combining the recreation department with the medical facility, it really shows the commitment that the county has to the not only the town of Poolesville, but the whole western part of the Ag Reserve. So I appreciate that. And I know that there's no dispute that we need this facility. We needed it yesterday. So I really do encourage going forward. And I think the important aspect is Of course, we don't know what's going to happen in the year 2018, 2019, but we have a pretty good idea that this project is going to move forward. And I think it's really critical to reserve that capacity now. Of course, we don't know what the end cost is going to be, but we approve projects every day. We approved probably 20 projects this morning in the T&E committee that we just don't know what the final cost is going to be. So I request that we see this included in the CIP. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Like I said, thank you for all of your continued leadership. Very proud to have turned over part of the community I was so lucky to be able to represent for 4 years to somebody who has just been incredibly dedicated to advocating on behalf of the community. And this is a big part of it, of what we have heard about the lack of adequate access to services in large portions of our county and our community. With that, why don't we turn it over to the executive branch to hear from you, if you could respond to your confidence level of where we're headed, the costs, the concerns that have been raised by council staff, and how you intend to address them.
Good afternoon, Greg Austin, Department of General Services. First, I can start with the PORs. As you all know, our typical capital project processes involved the creation of a program of requirements, then moving the POR into site selection, and then ultimately breaking it out into a standalone project. For all of the reasons that Councilmember Balcom just mentioned, the alignment that we have between HHS, the rec department, and most importantly the community, the county executive recognized all of that as we completed the POR and signals his intent to create this facility and get it into the CIP by putting a placeholder number in for fiscal years 29 and 30. And so that's what you're seeing in the PDF in front of you. It's his intent to make sure that this project is included in the 6-year CIP and moves forward accordingly. So as it relates specifically to the program of requirements, the POR is a technical document, and I can assure you that the technical work is complete. We have been working on the POR for well over a year. In fact, in Circle 6 of your packet, there's a lengthy response to council staff's questions. Candidly, I lifted that from the POR executive summary that is complete and has only been routed for signatures, and that's the incomplete part of the POR process. So we're just waiting on some final signatures, and then we can declare the POR final. But the technical work we don't expect to change. We don't expect the narrative to change or the size and scope of the project. And both the Rec Department and HHS are here to discuss their respective pieces of this. So again, we are in complete alignment on this project. The Fair Access Committee in the town has been great to work with. That narrative that I just mentioned on Circle 6 describes all of the groups that we've interviewed and have been a part of the POR process. It is lengthy. We've met with groups from a myriad of groups and feel like we've captured all of that in the POR. So we're done with the POR. We're ready to move to site selection. We intend to do that. In fact, there's a meeting this week between the town and DGS to discuss the site selection process. So we'll be moving it forward, and it's really just a matter of recognizing the placeholder number there for the 15 million, which again is an order of magnitude number. Absolutely correct. We will not know the exact cost of the project until it's designed and we bid it out for construction, and then we'll actually know the cost. But that's a customary fact of life and something we deal with quite often. So we're ready to go.
Before turning over to the other two departments, which we do want to hear from, whose signatures are we waiting for, and when should we expect them?
The signatures are imminent. It's really just a matter of, as you know, PORs. It's not just the Rec Department and HHS, and I believe that we do have their signatures for this. It's DGS, it's OMB, Office of the RSC, and probably a handful of others. So. I don't know which ones, and then ultimately the county executive needs to sign off. So we're just collecting those. It's just an administrative task, and we can get you timing and tell you exactly when it's going to happen as soon as I get back to the office.
Okay. If you could get back
Sure.
to us and let us know whose signatures specifically are we waiting on and exactly when we should expect it. You listed a bunch of people, all of whom work for the same person. And that person is one of the signatures you're waiting for. So it seemed to me if this was a priority, we could will that to existence very quickly, like by the end of the day or at least the end of the week. It doesn't seem like it's that hard. We have several of the people who are here in this room demonstrating their commitment to this effort. So if the goal here is and the expectation here is that we're going to get it done, then let's get it done. With that, why don't we turn it over to Recreation and then Department of Health and Human Services.
Good afternoon, Robin Riley, Director for Montgomery County Recreation. I echo a lot of what Greg just spoke of. We've worked for a while very closely with Fair Access in the town. It's been a great partnership to really identify some of the needs for the community. We've done tours of some of our existing sites. I think we've worked collectively to kind of agree on a type of building and the amenities that are in it. So I think it's just now getting ready to move it forward. So I think we're excited about it too. I mean, some of our challenges in Poolesville is space, to do programming. So once we have that and we can move forward, we're ready to do it. So thank you.
Great.
Good afternoon, Council President Friedson and joint members of the council sitting this afternoon. The Department of Health and Human Services, like our partners, wholeheartedly support the additional facility, physical space in Western Montgomery County and Poolesville. Dr. Rogers is here, and he's done a yo person's job in data collecting and providing the information necessary to inform not only the community health needs assessment, but also all of those social determinants of health that were previously or have been articulated in the package, such as mental health, such as physical care, such as the dental care. But the last point I want to make before I ask Dr. Rogers to share some comments based on his experience and collaboration with the council is that the mobile health clinic will come online later this year. The mobile health clinic can't solely provide the necessary resources in this part of the county. And so I leave you with that thought. This is why we are pushing forward and support this CIP. Dr. Rogers.
Yes, good afternoon. Christopher Rogers, Montgomery County DHHS. As Dr. Bridges echoed, the department wholeheartedly supports the addition of a medical suite to the Community Recreation Center. The department has worked closely with the Poolesville and the Agricultural Reserves community over the past couple of years, listening to what they see as their health issues, needs, and barriers, as well as their preferences for the facility. And the community health needs assessment echoes that all throughout. And so we see this facility as an important step towards ensuring that there is primary care medical homes in the community, as well as behavioral health homes, and as well as dental homes. Yes, the mobile health clinic will be traveling throughout the agricultural reserves, providing episodic care, but it's important that we are able to link people back to a brick and mortar location where they can receive ongoing care coordination from their providers, as well as attention to addressing the social determinants of health. So we've explored a number of different potential ways to make this happen, and we can respond to questions later if the council would like. But again, we believe that this is definitely a important step to ensuring that the Poolesville community is no longer ranked dead last among zip codes in Montgomery County as far as health outcomes. Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right, let me turn it over to my co-chair, Councilmember Albernas.
Thank you so much. Appreciated Councilmember Balcom's comments. Seeing that shovels wouldn't hit the ground until around FY28 does make me nervous, just because there's a lot of time between now and then. A lot has to happen between now and then, but we have to make sure that this continues forward. And I know that the team has looked at Good Hope and some other similar sized facilities. Director Riley, could you just talk a little bit about that? I think 15,000 square feet makes a lot of sense, but if you can just elaborate on, from a programmatic standpoint, what flexibility that would give the operation.
Yeah, I think we've worked really collectively with the community, Fair Access, as well as DFM, or DGS, in order to determine the scope and scale of the building. After doing a tour, which I feel like they were very impressed with Good Hope, the gym provides great opportunity for youth and seniors to be able to participate and lower those social determinants, or change those social determinants of health by being physically fit and active and socially engaged. I think that the scope of that building, providing classrooms as well as a kitchen, fitness room, meets all of the critical needs for that community, and we did it collaboratively and sort of scaling down and getting to a meet in the middle. And I think after touring it, we toured Scotland, I think at one point. We were at Germantown Community Center, so they've seen the range. And I think they're pretty happy and pretty confident that we can provide great services in that scope and scale of building.
That's wonderful. And the priority absolutely is the brick and mortar building itself with the wonderful programs that will go in it. But as we're looking for potential locations, maximizing community uses is always something we should at least explore. Not if it will be at the expense of making sure that we adhere to this timeline and build this really important facility. But if, for example, ball fields could be looked at as a potential possibility to be able to leverage space, that I think would be a wonderful thing to look at, and then make the community an even more of a destination spot, because we know our sports community is willing to travel, particularly for high-quality fields. And so, it should be something that we explore. And then, needless to say, leveraging that with the wonderful aquatic center that's already there and some of the town's programming that already exists, combining with some of the events would be great. Will we be looking at the possibility of potentially leveraging other potential uses on this site?
So as is required, we'll look at affordable housing and childcare in conjunction with the site selection process. We've been working on this long enough that the town has a handle on sites.
Great.
And some parameters that they've put forward that is the topic to be discussed this week when we meet with them. But as we move into site selection, we'll develop a candidate list of candidate sites and evaluate those, and childcare and affordable housing will be included on those as well. I can tell you also that I believe that the town has already put forward that co-locating with other amenities, town amenities, whether they be publicly owned or privately owned or town-owned, is important to them as well. So we'll look at all of that. That's part of the site selection process, and that's what we're going to kick off next.
And obviously, construction is the biggest priority, getting this building off the ground, but I know we've had some preliminary conversations regarding operation of that facility. Are we still looking at the Department of Recreation possibly being the lead in helping to coordinate programming and run the shop?
Gosh, I hope so.
Okay.
Yes,
Good.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we've been working towards that direction as well.
Wonderful. That sounds great. Thank you. I yield back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next, Councilmember Juwando.
I was on the edge of my seat there. I didn't know what was going to happen. Thank you very much. Well, really good news. There will be a PDF for Western Recreation Community Center that's created and put into the CIP. Now we're just talking about where do the numbers go, and so I think I just want to say that up front. I think there's unanimous agreement. I'm pretty safe to say that everyone believes this project should happen. I know Councilman Alvarez and Friedson and I, when we came onto the council years ago, this is something that the Fair Access Committee and so many community members have been advocating for. We've seen the heat maps as far as the lack of access to health care, the commonality between far west and far east sides of the county as far as some of the determinants of health, just as an example, and obviously our seniors. So I'm just really happy that we're at this point. I do, just because I know what I know, and I'm the chair of the Education and Culture Committee, and we just had a discussion about really having truth in advertising in our CIP. The historical practice had been for huge projects to kind of be put in the CIP, but neglecting to put in the actual cost of maintenance, of life cycle replacement, of things that cost a lot of money. We're trying to change that. Good news. Bad news of that is there's the proposal that we're considering and we haven't made a decision on yet in ENC is that there's going to be additional funding on the back end of and throughout the CIP to recognize what has traditionally been happening. And so when I see something like this where we don't know what it's going to cost yet, and that you're talking about planning in 28 and construction in 29 and 30 is how I read this, it gives me pause because we're going to be scraping to try to find money in this CIP for things we know exactly are going to happen. Now, obviously, I want this to happen as soon as possible. And I think there should, at a minimum, be the design money in here. The question is, how quickly can you get back to us with a realistic number? Because I just feel like we do a full CIP every 2 years, as you know, Mr. Hassan, in team. And, we can make amendments in the off year, but I want to do this truth in advertising across the board, and I really want to get our community to know what the costs are going to be. And is it realistic that you're going to have shovel in the ground by 29? And if so, what that number is going to be. So I guess I'll ask Council President Friedson's question in a different way. How soon will you have a realistic number? Because this is obviously a very low number, I would imagine.
Again, Greg Austin, Department of General Services. So we wouldn't know the actual cost of construction until we've designed the facility and moved it to the bid process.
So that would be at least until 28.
And as you've noted, we are not funded for design until FY 28 and 29 or 28. So it wouldn't be until then that we actually have a reliable cost estimate. We do generate a cost estimate as part of the POR process, and that's the number that is the approximate number that you see reflected in the PDF. Again, it's an order of magnitude number, and we don't have any idea what the costs are going to be in 28 and 29 at this point. So I hope that answers your question. We won't know until we get through the design process.
In the POR, as we said, we're just waiting for signatures, but I will just say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's really just a matter of compiling all the technical signatures and departmental sign-offs before it gets assembled and then produced as the final POR. And because it wasn't in final shape, we weren't able to provide it to council staff, which is why they've provided the comments in the staff packet that they have.
Well, and I appreciate the comments, and I think that, if we're being asked to put money in the CIP, we want to have the things that are supposed to come before that. And to the council president's point, it's, we knew coming into this meeting that was going to be a question. It would have been nice to see some hustle to get that here. But I take you at your word. I've seen you deliver a lot of facilities. I really appreciate the heads of the other departments being here. So that would just be my only concern. I appreciate the letter from Councilmember Balcom. I want this to go forward. We all want it to go forward. I'm just thinking about the whole pie here, as I know we all are, in the context of putting numbers in that will affect what we have to balance out this year for the rest of the CIP for costs what we know will be. So that would be my only concern. I just want to raise it. I'm not sure what that means as far as decision we'll make today, but I just wanted to raise it for colleagues. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Councilmember Sales.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to staff and all of the co-chairs. I'm glad that we have our Health and Human Services, Planning, Housing, and Parks, and Education and Culture chair here. I'm not going to repeat the data or the priorities laid out in the memo, but in neighboring Washington County, there's actually a $160 million investment happening there. They're combining a community center, a medical center, and a school. We know that we have a lot of shortages in our healthcare system, and we've already seen the numbers. Poolsville has been last on the zip code study for years. This study was out in 2014, I believe. Dr. Gales first premiered their study. And so 10 years later, we're still talking about a design. We haven't talked about the potential for partnerships now that we've created this hub. I think we should stick to the schedule, and I think that schedule will allow us to realize an even greater opportunity with this project. We already talk about the seniors, and this is a region where we have the fastest growing population of seniors. And so I believe we stick to the schedule, and then we come back with something even greater. We probably could even have a partner who wants to help us realize something even better. Students travel from all over the county to go to Poolsville High School. We should be tapping into the students and their potential. We have seen even the students, I'm sure they would be here if they could, but they're probably in school. This is our top high school. And my daughter was a part of the Project Lead the Way program. It was the biomedical sciences program at Gaithersburg High School. These are the sorts of partnerships and the sorts of investments that we need to make. And I believe that this time, now that we know we have time, we can realize an even better project, a better partnership. We stick to the schedule and make sure that it happens correctly, but I don't believe we need to delay this any further, given what we know. And the county executive talked about there being a surplus in the budget already. And so I know that there will be funds. We will use the funds to get the design ready. And then we will continue to look at the budget and see what other outstanding items there are, but this happens every year. We make tough decisions when it's budget season, but I don't think this should be a tough decision, and I'm glad that we have staff committed to seeing this forward, and I do not support any delays, and I'm so glad the district council member and I were able to submit a letter to communicate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lukey.
Thank you. And thank you, Councilmember Balcom, for allowing me to be your trusty sidekick in all things rural here in Montgomery County. And to the good folks at Fair Access who are here, who are strong community leaders and advocates, and who always put community with a big capital C first. I appreciate you. And as noted, this has been a long, lingering, festering problem that we should not delay in addressing. And I appreciate the work that Dr. Rogers has done with the community health needs assessment and being able to prioritize this area for services with the mobile health clinic. And as we know, nothing, even if we do keep it on track the way it is presented to us today, still we're going to have delays in time. And I am grateful for the work of our HHS partners in trying to make sure we're doing the best we can in the interim to service those needs. I know that you're taking a full community approach, meaning all ages, to this facility as well, to what it can be and what the inputs have been, who it will serve, and that everyone in this process had recognized that transportation is such a significant barrier for this area to engage with other things that exist in other parts of the county. So I appreciate that. And while it's true, we have to do a lot of back and forth on budgeting and tough decisions in our CIPs. And I know that the POR didn't quite line up time-wise with being here today, but I don't think that perfect should be the enemy of the good. I really don't. I know how your team works. I've appreciated working with your team for things in my own district, and I'm confident that the train can stay on the tracks if we bless this and move this along. And so, to the extent that there are unknown costs associated with what construction will be in FY29 and FY30, that's no different than anything else that appears in our CIP today. Right? The prior council, in dealing with the CIP back in 2018, 2020, they weren't anticipating the level of inflationary costs that have affected construction, that have gone on, that have changed the dynamic, and we all must deal with that as we chug along, right? But we have to do our best to say we are affirmatively saying that this is a priority. We've let it go for too long. It has to be in there, and we need to move forward. So with that, I yield.
Thank you. Councilmember Fanny Gonzalez.
Good afternoon. I would like to uplift one issue, and it's every time I go to Up County, I also see and have talked to people who are low income and who live up there, and they're struggling to get medical care. So this is also a duty as a county to walk the talk and embrace our values and make sure that the Up County has medical facilities, not just recreational, which is also, you can argue, is part of having a medical facility, because it's about mental health and physical health. But this is truly vital, especially for low-income folks who barely have a transportation system. And let's not even talk about transportation in DeKalb County or the lack of. So yes, I just want to voice my support, and the council staff had two options for us. I agreed on the second one, recommending approval of the project as submitted by the executive, subject to available funds at reconciliation. With that, I yield back.
Thank you. Well, appreciate the conversation, discussion, all of the collective support here. You can hear that there's a lot of interest and support coming from this body. I don't think there's any disagreement there. I'll just note there are really only two questions before us. One would be to move forward as introduced. The other would be to not move forward, to have the POR come forward, and then to have to make an adjustment later, either delaying the current timeline, really moving forward in 28, 29, and 30, or moving things around at that point. So if there's a commitment to do this, we need to do it. The challenge is that the sooner we have real numbers with a real understanding of what it means, we know what the impact is, to the point that Councilmember Jawando was making. So I will just reiterate, this was a priority for the executive to get it into the CIP on January 15th, which I very much appreciate. I've been advocating for this for several years. We need it to be an equal priority to get the POR done, to get the signatures handled, and to move forward with an understanding of exactly what the costs are going to be and what the impacts are going to be and how we adjust accordingly. So I think you're hearing that from everybody here loud and clear. I want to reiterate that. I think you understand fully your marching orders, and if you could get back to us within the next couple of days, not weeks or months, but this week, with what signatures are we waiting on and what is the timeline to get those signatures so that the PR could be completed. And I'll just close this before taking a vote from colleagues. Appreciate wholeheartedly not only the collaboration among county departments on this effort, which is very much needed, because this is a facility that needs to serve a lot of different purposes in a community that has a lot of needs, but also the commitment to work with Town of Poolesville, to work with the Fair Access Committee. Clearly that has happened. That is something that we have been advocating for and we have been working towards for several years. I have been involved in a number of those meetings myself. I know Councilmember Balcom and her team continue to be involved in those efforts, and that is the only way that this is going to move forward in a way that reflects the needs in the community and actually serves the purpose that it's intended. So let's continue that. Let's have some urgency here. Let's get back with as much information as we can, and then we're going to have to address those issues with the other challenging decisions that we're going to have to make as part of the capital budget. With that, it seemed pretty clear that there's consensus to move this forward. All in favor of that recommendation to move this forward as introduced by the county executive, please indicate by raising your hand. That is unanimous with an enthusiastic support from a non-voting member of the committee, Councilmember Balcom, who represents the community, and will try to vote twice at full council if we will permit her. With that, thanks again to the commissioners from Poolesville, to the Fair Access Committee, to all of the county department directors and chiefs and managers. We really appreciate the collaborative approach here and look forward to continued conversation of how we can provide adequate access to services across the board to everybody in our community, particularly those in Western Montgomery County. So thank you very much. And with that, colleagues, this joint committee is adjourned. The PHP committee will start at 2 p.m. and we'll stay here. So we'll have about a 10-minute recess.